Hey guys, welcome to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast and YouTube channel. If you haven't noticed, we are in the middle of doing a lot of things here on our channel, on our podcast. One of the things we learned is we have Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. We weren't as confident in our own power and abilities and what we're doing. And so Grandma came out. We were like, oh yeah, she's the guide, not us. But then we realized, no, we are pretty good. We are awesome at this. And so you'll notice Wealth Wisdom FP is coming. There's some really amazing things that are coming down the pike. But we are really just saying, no, we've actually done some amazing stuff with our life insurance policies. We are building wealth like you would never believe. And we want the same for you and for all the people that interact and listen to us. With that said, I also get to talk to people who have been kind of where we're at, in the W-2 world or in general, just floating through life. And they come across a concept and some things that have revolutionized their life, so much so that they go into that and help teach others. And that brings me to my guest today. Today, I get the privilege of interviewing somebody who works alongside my mentor, Mark from Not Your Average Financial Podcast, and his name is Jay Helms. You might have heard about him. He runs W2 Capitalist. He is an Amazon #1 best-selling author. He was featured twice on BusinessInsider.com. And of course, is that founder of W2 Capitalist, a mastermind community for aspiring and experienced real estate investors. Timid, apprehensive, and fearful about purchasing his first single family rental, Jay now owns over $1 million in real estate assets and escaped the rat race after just 6 years of side hustling in real estate investing. Knowing that and closing on the first deal is the biggest hurdle and mental roadblock for the new investors that he works with. He has a goal like us of helping 1 million people create multiple streams of income, achieving financial freedom, building legacy wealth through real estate investing. Hey, welcome to the show.
Brandon, thank you for having me. Appreciate the introduction.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've heard about you through my mentor, Mark Willis. And, I've seen the things that you've accomplished, not just like personally, right? I've seen some of that, we're newly acquainted friends, but it's the clients that I've worked with who I hear stories from. So tell me some of those stories. Like, how did you get involved in this?
Yeah, so full disclosure is from the Not Your Average Financial Podcast. He is in his group, Lake Growth Financial, is a sponsor of the W2 Capitalist, right? So we have a partnership there. And one of the things I don't brag about things or plug things that I don't use. And so I'm a Bank on Yourself policy holder. We've been doing it for a few years now. My wife and I both have policies. We just actually opened up policies for our kids.
Nice.
And we have done a transaction where we pulled out money. So I was telling you kind of before we hit the record button that we've been living the nomadic lifestyle for the last 13, 14 months. 6 months of that, we lived in an RV. Now, 400 square feet is a very tight space for my wife and I and 3 kids under 7. So we kind of stopped doing that, and now we're hopping from Airbnb, and which is where I'm at now, and hotel to hotel. And so we use our policy to purchase the RV, right? Seamless transactions, probably one of the easiest things I've ever done. I'm like, let's just see how quickly, because we were kind of up on a time crunch on needing this because we converted our primary residence to an Airbnb. We've committed to this traveling lifestyle. We have a home in Florida that we absolutely love. We didn't necessarily want to sell it just yet, even though we've got a lot of equity pinned up into it. But it's the home that our kids call home. We've been traveling for about 14 months. We've been back 2 months out of that entire time, and both were about a month stay each. But you were asking about how do we get here? How do we get introduced to all these amazing people? And I'm an introvert by nature. I'm growing out of that. I think being an entrepreneur, you kind of start to grow out of that a little bit. But I even expressed to you, man, I don't like being around people I don't know. I don't like big crowds. But I worked in the technology industry, and I worked remote about a decade. I was remote Zooming before it was cool, kind of thing,
Right.
And so I got very used to being behind a camera and very comfortable behind a keyboard. And we stumbled upon kind of what got us into real estate investing. I was a principal at a startup IT company. I was employee number 5. We grew that to 30 employees,
Wow.
multiple $1 million a year. And then the owners decided to sell that company to a much larger, I don't want to call them conglomerate. I don't know if that's the right word there, but a much
Okay.
larger IT
Big guy.
firm. And man, that acquisition did not go well. So there was kind of a trifecta thing that happened over 6 months. I got married. My wife and I got married. 2 months after that, we found out that we were having our first kid. And then 2 months after that, I found out this acquisition was going to go through. And it didn't go smoothly whatsoever. And stress, I mean, that was a trifecta for me at that point in my
Mm.
life. Like, hey, I'm no longer, even though my wife had been living together for quite some time, it was different. We were married. I'm now responsible for this person, right? She's now responsible for me. Oh, here we're bringing a kid into the world. What in the heck? What do we do? And
Yeah.
whatnot. And then the whole thing of, this looming feeling that I was going to get fired because the acquisition that happens, most of my clients were leaving. My new bosses were looking at me and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well,
You
you
guys
took all the you guys took all the resources away from us that we used to make them happy, and we told you not to do it, and here we are." So that led us down a path of real estate investing and finding that wealth creation tool. And we closed on our first single family property when our firstborn son, firstborn kid, was 3 weeks old.
did.
And so that was kind of the bug. I mean, we were so nervous, talking about it in the intro, and we were so nervous about pulling the plug on it because it was a $25,000 investment property. Now it was in a part of town that was up and coming. It was a foreclosure. It needed a lot of work, so we bought it for 25,000. We put about 9 grand into it. It rented right away, and we were cash flowing like $400 a month. We're like,
Wow.
well, let's figure out how to do this again,
Yeah.
And so we started building our portfolio over the next 6 years. And what I realized when we started doing that is all that stress and anxiety that I was having about how am I going to financially provide for my family, it started going away. Right now, we
Mhm.
have these multiple streams of income. It's led me to the bank on yourself policy, which I now know that I could use for anything that I need to, right? And it was one of those things that actually made me a better employee because I worried less about what I was actually going to do to provide for my family. And so it made me a more confident employee. It also made me have a lot better negotiating tactic. I was in sales. And so it was just one of those things where, real estate investing, I have to kind of give credit where credit's due is really what led us to be here. And to kind of circle back around, I created the W2 Capitalist because I knew when I was around people who were on the same path or a little bit further down the path than I am, I knew that was just going to help exponentially grow. I was not comfortable going to a RIA meeting that was 45 minutes in one direction with a 6 month pregnant wife
Yeah.
and being
Right.
around a bunch of people that I didn't know, didn't care to be around. I was going to be the guy sitting in the corner anyway. And so I came up with this idea. I'm going to create this platform that suits me. And that sounds very self centered and whatnot. But I was looking for people who are the exact same. And we've done a really good job, I think. And I say we, my wife is part of the team, although she's all the back end kind of stuff. She does not like doing podcasts. She does not like doing recordings. She doesn't like being on video whatsoever. But here's the thing about her, and this is why it's super helpful to have a supporting spouse in your corner, is I can grind on an issue for weeks. And just mentally, I'm bogging down,
Yeah.
stressing out over it. And I'll go to her and I was like, hey, I'm working through this thing, whatever it is. And like within 2 seconds, she gives me the most brilliant answer. And I'm so appreciative of that, but I also so frustrated. Like, how do you do that? Like how do you do that?
I feel like we're married to the same person almost. I mean, yeah.
But it's on me. I should learn from that lesson and go to her quicker. I shouldn't have to grind on something for a couple of weeks. But yeah, and so the W2 Capitalist was born back when we had done a couple of deals, and I think we had bought 3 properties up until that point in time. And I knew, we were starting to see the success, and we were okay. Well, I want to do more of this, but I'm not going to go to a RIA meeting. I don't like doing that. I am extremely comfortable over Zoom. Let me just create this thing. I was part of another mastermind who did everything on Zoom, but it wasn't focused on real estate. It was focused on being a better husband and a better father. And I was like, but I can take this and I can kind of tweak it to what I want to do, right? And I can help people. And then it kind of has grown through that. And it was basically started as a community to be around like-minded folks, introverts who wanted to learn how to and lean on other investors. And then now it's grown into this machine of, well, we're not only just doing that, but we're helping people create legacy wealth with these bank on yourself policies. And I'm just sitting here thinking, man, I didn't know anything. I didn't know I knew whole life insurance policies existed. I had a horrible one before I met Mark, but the whole concept of banking yourself and the flexibility of what you can do with it. As soon as I learned about that, I stopped contributing my 401k. Matter of fact, I had started a new job, and we were in the meeting with a 401k representative. Basically, after the meeting, the HR rep, our VP of HR, is a big public company, right? She comes, taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, you need to come to my office." Because I was basically ripping the guy apart, and not like in a bad way. I was asking him very pinpointed questions about the returns and everything that he was highlighting as sunshine and rainbows, and I knew it was just not true. And because I wasn't sitting in my seat and just saying yes, 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 and being a yes man, I essentially spent some time in the principal's office.
Oh, yeah.
May or may not have led to me being laid off a year later, but neither here nor there, right? But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at with everything, and we've got the community. It's an amazing community. We've got close to 70 members in the mastermind. We meet over 20 times a month through Zoom. Now, not everybody comes to every call. There are different sporadic calls that are led by folks who are in that niche. So if you're interested in multifamily investing, it's led by somebody who's a multifamily investor, right? And I call those folks our VPs. So our VPs of the mastermind, all of them have transitioned or transitioning from having a W-2 to a real estate investor or full-time real estate investor, and just capturing that time freedom. And that's kind of what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Is making sure you've got your time. And it's funny, I saw an article this morning that hit my inbox. It was from The Hustle. I don't know if you subscribe to that. Not affiliated with them or anything, but the headline this morning was, "The work-life balance is out of whack." I was like, just reading the title, I'm like, why is this breaking news to you guys? Like,
Yeah,
where
right.
have you been for the last several decades? But it went into how folks are taking more vacations, which I think is a good sign, right? So
Yeah.
more companies are coming up with these unlimited vacation policies, which I fully support. And then also a lot of companies are going for remote work, but it's basically saying, hey, yeah, you may be on vacation more, but you're working while you're on vacation. There's no
Yeah.
work-life balance. And I'm like, no. That is, to me, that is work-life. That's more work-life balance than getting your 1 to 2 weeks a year
Right.
and being stressed out the entire time you're gone.
Yeah. So as I talk to people, I do a financial analysis all the time. And everybody wants to be a investor. They want to get into real estate, and real estate and Bitcoin is the top things. Never somebody who's never done any of this, like grandma, is saying, "So should I get into real estate? Should I get into this?" I'm like, do you know anything about it? Do you have a
Yeah.
community around you? Do you have people that can answer the right questions, right? Because you get into a fix and flip, it's going to be different questions than syndication or whatever. And what kind of real estate investor do you want to be? How do you talk to these people as they come into your circle? And I also agree, like with my wife is totally an introvert. You guys might not know that. She totally is. She would be off of all social media and all of that if she didn't have to, which you've done amazing at building an audience for being an introvert.
Thank you.
I don't
It's
know how you've done it because we're like trying, but maybe it's because I talk about insurance. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I really push myself to get out of my comfort zone because I know that's where growth is going to happen. And
Yeah.
there's this feeling that I've kind of tuned into of it's not my gut telling me that I
Yeah.
shouldn't do it. It's that fear, right? And there's a different feeling than, hey, I'm just scared to do something versus my gut telling me, no, you shouldn't do it. Well, I really tuned in probably in the last year or so, really listening to my gut and really feeling that sense of fear. And when I feel that sense of fear, I know that's the next thing I need to go and do. And it's just one of those things that's really helped me grow. So all the stuff you're seeing on Instagram, I am extremely uncomfortable. May have a couple of drinks in me before I do those kind of things.
Oh, but they're funny videos. If you
Yeah.
subscribe to his Instagram because he does some, I don't even know. Maybe you have a 7-year-old or 10-year-old or something that can help you with
7-year-old, yeah.
Instagram.
We really haven't introduced them to social media just yet.
I mean, figuring out Instagram in general is hard for me. I'm like, what the heck? How do they do this stuff? I don't even know. But
Well, I think it comes with my technology background. Still got
probably
a little bit of a propeller head up here, still spinning for that stuff. But you asked, how do I talk to people coming into not just the mastermind, but people who are interested in learning about real estate investing at all? And it really comes down to your goals, your big why. What do you want to do? And we establish that baseline, right? there is an application process that we make folks go through to get into the mastermind. We don't accept everybody who applies because we're looking for a certain person, mainly that they're dedicated for a year, right? They're going to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 4 to 6 hours a month to this thing in this mastermind. Now, I can't guarantee it, but I can prove it on paper that over 80% of our members who focus 4 to 6 hours a month doing mastermind activities more than double their portfolio within 10.7 months. Now, I round that up to a year because it sounds better than me. It doesn't sound as geeky as me saying 10.7, but it's just that being around people who are going to motivate you, who have the experience. One of the things that I think sets us apart from all masterminds is when we get on a call, there are 3 different buckets that we kind of fill up, right? And one of those buckets is, what questions do you have for the group? And when they come in and people ask questions, the folks who answer them, I don't always answer them because I don't always have the experience. But the rule in answering anybody's question is you have to have that experience, real world experience. Experience is not, hey, I heard this on a podcast or I saw this on YouTube. Now, we may drift over that if somebody asks a question that nobody has experience with. It's very rare. It's very rare with the amount of folks and the experienced folks we have in there. And so, you're getting an answer from somebody who's walked down that same path as you. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably what sets us apart. But we really want to dive into making sure anybody coming in is, if they're not grounded on why they want to become a real estate investor, then let's start there, right? And so we even have a page. I think it's w2capitalist.com/why, WHY. And it's our version of 7 levels deep. Are you familiar with the 7 levels deep concept?
Probably. Refresh us.
So if you came in and you don't know why you want to do real estate, other than you see a lot of folks posting the sunshine and rainbows that happens, on social media. And this is why we get to that why is it's not all sunshines and rainbows. I hate to break it to you, but there are some times where you're going to you're going to look at yourself like, do I want to do this? But it's basically, Brandon, if you came to me and said, man, I want to invest in real estate. Okay, why do you want to invest in real estate? Chances are you're going to say something about money, right? And well, it doesn't stop at money. We may circle around back to money, but okay, why do you want more money? Well, because I want to build legacy wealth for my kids. Okay, why do you want to build legacy wealth for my kids? Well, I want them to grow up in this type of environment. Okay, why do you want them to grow up in this type of environment? So we go through that revision. You answer the question. I basically flip your answer into a question and ask you why. And we keep going through that cycle until you have this aha moment of, oh, that's why I want to invest in real estate. And so we use that answer, your aha moment answer, as your foundation, right? Now we know this is why you really want to invest in real estate. And we take that and then we figure out, okay, how do we get you to that goal? Is it syndications? Is it short-term rentals? And we get you very focused on being focused on that goal. And that comes with the accountability piece of the mastermind, because you come into these calls and you may hear, if you join one of the general session calls, you may be focused on short-term rentals. And then you hear somebody who's doing amazing things and creating amazing wealth in self-storage. You're like, oh, I want to do self-storage. Right?
Yeah.
No. I mean, let's talk about this for a minute. I'm not telling you no, but I know this about you. You're focused on this. And so it's about that, having that accountability and making sure these folks have a guide to get them where they want to go. And one of the most amazing tools, and I'm so appreciative of Mark. And matter of fact, the way I found Mark is he reached out to be on the W2 Capitalist podcast. And I was like, all right, he's the 3rd guy that's coming on, talking about whole life insurance. I feel like there's something there. I've got to figure this out. And I'm so glad I did, because he's the guy that made it click for me. And I wish I would have had access to that tool a long time ago. And so when you come into the community, I don't sell you on a bunch of stuff. It is one of those things where you come into the community, this is what I'm using, and here's how I'm using it. Here's why it's working for us as a family. It's up to you if you want to use it or not, but here are the introductions to those people who can make it happen.
But I think, like what you said on the conversations and the whys, like that's what we do in the financial analysis. I'm sure when you worked with Mark on yours, it was a reverse thing. You were asking those questions of other people. He was asking questions of you, right?
He did. I remember that conversation very vividly, because, having 3 kids, and we had 3 at the time. Matter of fact, we had a newborn at the time. my wife and I, we don't get a whole lot of time to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was one of those hour and a half long sessions where we learned a lot about each other's goals and
Yeah.
where we wanted to do financially. And one of
But
those at the time was to travel in an RV. And I was so opposed to that. I was like, I don't want to do it. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be crazy. And then, 2 years later, here we were living in an RV.
and some of ours, we have a thing we call the still method, and you could totally use this. So first is setting your sights. Then you have to track your in and out, like budgeting, like just kind of know. And this can be about dating. This could be about spending time with your kids. Whatever. You have to have a goal of where you want to go. Most people are living haphazard through life, and they say, "I want to go into real estate, and then I'm going to go in this and that." And you just said, "No, switch." Your site said this is where
Hmm.
you said your sites are this. So setting your sights, and it starts with the person tracking in and out. Inspect your progress. Are we moving in that direction that you have to, like, not just track it, but inspect? Look for 1% adjustments. We don't just get there quickly and then live
Right.
deliberately. Buying multiple places. And what you said initially in starting this whole thing, it was living deliberately. We got to take action. But then things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of what I call entrepreneurs, or people who think they want to do real estate investing. They'll show up to all the things, but they've never actually pulled out a deal. They've never actually done
Yeah.
anything. Those are entrepreneurs. And then you have the business owners and entrepreneurs who actually do it, and they have the failures. So if you have the
Hmm.
guides, and these are the three things I tell every business owner, whether you're starting a coffee shop to getting into real estate, is know that you're called to this, that this is what you want to do. I don't care if you're passive income doing this thing, it's still going to be difficult, right? Have a team around you. Like you just said this in your thing of this team of people, this community that's an intentional community that care about you, not just the output. And then know your numbers. That's my three things I tell every business owner. Have those three things in place, because guess what? Life is going to happen, and
Hmm.
things are going to happen that are not in the plan.
Yeah.
That you have to be able to have a team that says, "Okay, man, I'm doing a fix and flip, and my builder just decided to quit." I'm sure you've experienced that, right? What attorneys do you know? And I'm like, oh, that sucks, but that's going to be a learning experience for that person, or they're going to quit.
And
Uh,
I empathize with the entrepreneurs and the aspiring real estate investors and just super conservative investment strategy over here. It took us 8 months from the time we said, okay, we're gonna go after finding this, exploring this real estate investing. 8 months of us looking at 2 or 3 deals a day, or opportunities, I should say, before we actually closed on something. And that was at a time when the market, that was back in 2014. And that was when, man, if I knew, whatever the saying is, know now what I should have known then,
I
kind of
knew
thing.
what I knew then, what I know
Yeah,
now.
we would have bought we would be so house poor because we would have bought as many houses as we could in areas that we knew were up and coming. We just so conservative, right? And so I empathize with the aspiring real estate investor, that you may be sitting on sidelines right now, and it is a brutal time to get in unless you're surrounding yourself with people who are navigating. And I learn constantly from the folks in the mastermind. There was one of the VPs. I was on one of his calls, and I asked him, I said, how are you handling underwriting right now with interest rates the way they are? And he goes, I believe interest rates are going to be up in 6 months. They're going to continue to go up. And he goes, so if I make an offer on something in the next month or two, I know that it's going to be at least 30, maybe 60 days before I close on it. So I'm adjusting my underwriting. I'm just getting more conservative. I'm going to anticipate that interest rates are going to be higher. And I never thought about that. It seems very simple and one very simple concept, but just hearing it from him, it made it just click. And then we bought that first property, and we waited another year before we bought our next one. And so I compare that to a guy who's in our mastermind who he bought 10 properties his first year, and he didn't feel like he was doing enough. And I was like, man, let me explain something to you. I was like, We bought 2 properties in our first 2 years.
Yeah.
You bought 10 within the first one. I was like, "So are you buying and they were all hitting his investing criteria, so he basically came into the mastermind middle of that year, kept buying, and he was able to punch his clock to financial freedom
Yeah.
within about 2 years, right? And it took me 6, a little more than 6 actually. So it's just part of that discovering your why is you got to know your investing criteria, you got to know your risk tolerance. But for those entrepreneurs, that's where, I wrote a book. It's called Make an Offer, the Amazon bestseller you mentioned earlier. Kind of walks you through that whole process of getting ready to make an offer, right? Matter of fact, at the end of each chapter, there's these punch list of items that go through. Now, I'm going to sit here and I know I talked about being an introvert and not wanting to go to RIA meetings, but one of the calls to action in that book is you got to go to a RIA meeting. You got to join your local RIA. You got to get out of your comfort zone, which I eventually did. I just hated doing it at the beginning. And get ready to make that first offer and make it to where it makes sense to you. Ignore the asking price. Just ignore if it is an asset that you want to go after and you want as part of your portfolio, underwrite it to your standards and you make an offer. Real quick story. Our third or fourth property, it was a duplex. They were asking 130 for it. And so I underwrote it. And my best offer was 90,000. And I was like, in order for us to get this and it hit our criteria, I've got to offer 90. And I was working with a realtor and we did a lot of deals together, but I was working with him at the time. And I said, Rob, I don't want to make an offer on this. And he goes, why? I was like, because when I underwrite this, my top dollar is 90. I was like, he's at 130. No way. He goes, we'll put it together. If you think 90 is where you need to be, then we'll do it. We'll just make an offer. And we did. And the guy didn't counter, didn't do anything. He just accepted it right away. And I was mad. I was mad that it didn't go lower. And that was one of our best properties. We held it for 3 years, never set foot inside of it. And after 3 years, we sold it. All said and done, we had a 368% return on it.
Wow.
And it was just, all right, let's figure out how to do that again. And so aspiring, want to be real estate investors, underwrite properties, make it part of your daily routine. When you get ready to make that offer, make it on where it makes sense for you, not what the asking price is.
This is something I was thinking about too, as I'm buying a building and the long tail of life in general. When I started our life insurance policies, it was because I needed some stability for retirement in the coffee shop world. I looked at my documents that Mark did for us when we did our financial analysis with them. And I was like, man, those goals are definitely not the same goals as I had. I have a kid now and, other things. But the funny thing is those policies have been able to be used for multiple things. Goals shifted, right? Because we change. And as we grow, as we learn, we might be in, fix and flips or I don't know, whatever. I'm not even sure. But we grow and evolve and learn from the people around us. And then for me, knowing the interest rates are where they're at, knowing that I have equity in my policy that I can leverage and use, I was able to pretty much underwrite all of it really quickly because it's already there. I already got underwritten about 8 years ago for this amount, right? It just happens to be in my policy, not into a real estate. And then I was able to use the bank's money that I wanted, part of it, for the 85 or whatever. I don't know what percentage we used, but thinking about being creative and financing and knowing that we're in a big story and, you used it for an RV, who knows what's going to happen as you build the policies that you've built and as the clients build it of having leverage. And if interest rates go up or down, it's irrelevant usually, but doesn't mean I don't want to reach freedom, whatever that thing is. So anyway, I was just thinking about that in my own real estate ventures and using it in a smart way. And now real estate is part of my portfolio, which is kind of fun. So I want to show people your website because, again, I do think there's a lot of people, especially now, that are still thinking I want to be in real estate and they need to know where to start. So I wanted to go here. This is W2 Capitalist. So it's really easy. This is why Jay is, I think, been so successful as, man, he picked a great name. Not Jay Helms Capitalist, but, W2. Walk us through what is something they'll find here. If they come here, what's the first thing they need to do?
Yeah, so if you're interested to learn more about my journey and kind of how I got here, I'm gonna give you some nuggets today. There is a start here tab at the very top, so we'll just go across those. You got the podcast. We're entering season 4 of the podcast right now. I'm set to record that coming up, so you want to go ahead and catch up on some back
Yeah.
back episodes, and then you can find links to our membership, which we've got what we call the Pro Community, which is a social media network with intention of just being real estate investors. And then we also have the mastermind there as well. The mastermind, there is an interview process you have to go through to make sure it's going to be a good fit for all of us. The pro community, you can just go in and sign up and be part of that. There's close to 70 members in the mastermind and close to 200 in the pro community.
Nice.
Got a couple of resources for you guys too. One of the probably the more popular ones is the 10-step guide to buying and holding a small multifamily under resources. And then there's also a personal financial statement that downloads.
Cool.
That you can do there. And then there's also the book a call link. So if you're interested in learning more about the W2 Capitalist, you can go to that, book a call. You can talk to a membership strategist to find out more, especially if you're interested in joining the mastermind, kind of what that's all about. And one of the things talking to the membership strategist you should know is that they're all members of the mastermind. And part of the whole hiring process is they had to be in the mastermind for X number of time. I forget what it was that we decided on, because I want them to be able to talk about their real life experience and being part of the group, being part of the community.
Nice. I think that's the bigger value, is people who have actually done it, used it, and you're not just speaking from, again, a YouTube video or a TikTok video,
Right.
from experience. I just think this is amazing. The resources, and then the financial calculator. Everybody, a lot of people are trying to go after financial independence, not knowing what that actually means half the time.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh yeah, I can quit my day job because I'm fired. And then I don't know. Some of that is just really interesting. The whole fire movement is somewhat silly to me because I retired early and started a business technically, and quit my W-2 job to do this. And I was like, we did that the wrong way. We were supposed to have financial
before you retire. Yeah.
But anyway, we didn't know what we were doing. So awesome. Well, thanks here for joining us. And I really think this is powerful. We're going to have you on again on the show. And really, guys, I just want you to know, like, find people who have been like a couple steps ahead of you. Maybe not like Jeff Bezos or somebody else, like, people who are like, he's done this, he's done some deals, he's found another tribe of people that have done that, and learn from them, because that's going to help you. We're all looking for shortcuts. And I would say that it might not seem like a shortcut, but I will tell you, it is probably the biggest shortcut and hack that you can ever do when you join these kind of things. That's why we have a membership community. We want people to not have to go through some of the stupid stuff that we did. You are going to make mistakes, and there will be stupid mistakes. And what you want is a team of people that come around you and say, that was a stupid mistake. And go for it. So awesome. Well, Jay, thanks for joining me. Anything else you want to share?
One of the things I want to help folks, right? So one of the things I do is I offer up, there's 2 ways. There's a weekly Ask Me Anything. It's a virtual Zoom session, and you can register for those at w2capitalist.com/AMA. And that's a group of folks. So if you want to hear what other people are talking about or asking, come in there. There's usually nothing that's off limits. I mean, it's Ask Me Anything, right? And then the other one is if you want a more one-on-one conversation, which that calendar stays pretty full, but it is w2capitalist.com/virtual coffee.
Awesome, Jay. Well, thanks for being here. You guys, we really want you to break through to a smart, stable financial future, whether you're using real estate, whether you're using a life insurance policy, of course, properly designed, or whatever. We want to help you reach those goals. So that's our goal here and what we do. So yeah, make sure you are taking control and breaking through to a smart, stable financial future. And we will see you next time.